Hey guys, Gotham Geek Girl here, and it was announced this week that House of the Dragon is renewed for season 2. I am loving the prequel so far. Game of Thrones is like that on-again, off-again relationship that you just can't seem to let go of. After fans eagerly waited for 2 years with a break for the finale season, only to be left completely disappointed with a botched and rushed series finale. We'll get into that in a bit. After the disastrous season 8, fans were initially reluctant for the announcement of spin-offs. If you're like me and watched religiously since season 1 premiered way back in 2011, then I know you took it personally. But I will say that House of the Dragon has completely renewed my faith in the fantasy world and in Westeros. The prequel to Game of Thrones, based on A Song of Ice and Fire novels by George R.R. Martin, is set about 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and it's 172 years before the birth of Dany, and eventually we'll see her downfall. But this portrays the beginning of the end of the House of Targaryen, and the Targaryen War of Succession, known as the Dance of the Dragons. I'm really intrigued by the idea of the prequel covering the lore of the Targaryens, and it really seems promising, and it has my complete attention. The music at the end of the premiere episode actually had me smiling with joy and close to tears, and brought back the good memories of Thrones. But let's recap what went wrong with the original Thrones. I'm hoping that the prequel can fix these things and keep a decent pace. A lot went wrong, from rushed plot lines to demolishing character growth and development. A character that was completely wasted was Gendry. He was the true son of King Robert Baratheon. He was underused. Robert Baratheon was the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. He took the throne through conquest in the war known as Robert's Rebellion. Robert married Cersei Lannister to cement an alliance with the House Lannister to hold the kingdoms together, but the marriage was loveless, obviously because she was banging her brother. The bastard son of King Robert Baratheon, Gendry, came under threat when the Red Priestess Melisandre discovered him. Her plan was to burn him alive as a gift to the Lord of Light, utilizing the king's blood in him for her own power. Davos Seaworth, ever the immoral man, helped Gendry escape in the season 3 finale. Davos put him in a boat, instructing him to row down to King's Landing. So that whole premise of her basically crossing oceans for him was kind of pointless, and it never went anywhere. He just was like a smith building like swords, but he's the true heir, even though he's the bastard. It should have been more significant. He was wasted. All he was used was for an uncomfortable and entirely unnecessary sex scene with Arya Stark. It not only felt forced, but it didn't feel in character for Arya. She only cared about combat, and out of the blue, she's boy crazy. I mean, I felt like it diminished her growth. Another issue with Arya was that she went through intensive training to become part of the legendary group of the assassins called the Faceless Men. Her no-faces training was kind of pointless. Yes, she killed the Night King, but that whole scene felt kind of forced. It should have been her and Jon together. Her skill was definitely the most lethal skill that one could have without a weapon. She deceived Walter Frey because of it, and she killed his sons, all of his men, and she got away with it. Her kill list wasn't just some fantasy. She was checking off her list. She killed Littlefinger, yet she never used his face to her advantage. She killed him in the season finale, season 7, and she should have used his face to her advantage in King's Landing. She could have pretended to devise a plan or a plot to get inside information on Winterfell. She could have literally used his face to get closer to Cersei, who was her ultimate target. The last time she actually used her powers was when she killed Frey, and she didn't use them at all in the entire last season. And then there was the finale where she kills the Night King. In the end, she still protected her family with the drop knife that ultimately killed the Night King, and she definitely had a way better story than Bran overall, because Arya was always one of my favorite characters, but I wish they did more with her faceless training. Bran becomes the Three-Eyed Raven. He has infinite knowledge, and he can alter events from the past. But did he use his powers for something useful, interesting? Not at all. It would have been far more interesting to actually make him the Night King than making him the king out of nowhere. Jaime Lannister had fantastic character development and possibly the greatest growth in the show overall, but it was completely wasted. His arc was thrown away. He rode a horse back to his sister, and how did he get there in 5 minutes, when previous seasons took literal years to travel anywhere? The travel made no sense in this season. It was pretty disappointing how they just threw away his whole growth. Dany was also poorly executed this season. They rushed her descent into madness. she was entitled, but originally she was liberating people. She was the breaker of chains, but she became power hungry and she burned innocent people alive by choice, which contradicts everything. And she did this because she didn't get the D. Jon Snow coming back from the dead was pointless. They really ruined his arc. Winter never came. The Ice Dragon was wasted. The Night King was immune to fire, but there was never any explanation, and he died too quickly. The Ice Dragons, they were easily killed, so this was kind of annoying how both of Dany's dragons were easily killed. So the only part of Rhaegal's death that's a little hard to believe is how easily Euron gets the drop on Daenerys and her dragons. She's in the sky, so she should have had a better vantage point. Dany should have seen Greyjoy's fleet approaching, but she doesn't. So that was kind of upsetting how easily they just shot her dragon down out of the sky and they didn't see anything. Then there's Viserion. The Night King is riding his zombie dragon. How freaking cool that could have been. He received his own weapon of mass destruction. This could have been a great prospect to take Westeros, but it went nowhere. The finale was not even close to the Red Wedding or Battle of Bastards in terms of impactfulness. I don't really remember anything. Bran, like I said, he was the Ark Watcher, the three-eyed raven. He could see the future and nothing happened. Jon Snow was a Targaryen for no reason. Dany did all these amazing things for no reason. Arya Stark joined the Faceless for no reason. There were unnecessary hookups, unnecessary breakup, unnecessary people getting back together like Jaime and Cersei, which was very weird. But like I said, I watched Game of Thrones since 2011, so it was really upsetting for me. But I'm praying that this new season will fix a lot of things. They're kind of foreshadowing Dany, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do. So season 8, Dracarys, let's burn that shit. But anything I forgot to mention, let me know, and let me know your thoughts on House of the Dragon.